What's up, North County? I'm your host, Randy Doty, and today we are talking Sheriff Rodeo 2024. And in studio, we have Commander Chad Nicholson and Chief Deputy Nate Paul. My God, I rehearsed that too. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it and really looking forward to what's happening. But let's wrap up what happened last year in 2023. So let's do a little recap.
Well, as you know, 2023 was a great year for us, building off our inaugural year in 2022. And we're just trying to grow the Sheriff's Rodeo a little bit each year. And it seems like it's grown at an exponential rate. Last year, we were danger close to selling the place out at 7,000 people. And that's pretty good for only our second year at the rodeo. And like Nate and I have talked about before, you know, our motto is just to put on a great event for the community that's budget friendly and top-notch production value, and we feel that we reached that last year. But we're just going to continue to do everything we can to make that event bigger and better, like we're going to do this year.
Looking back to last year, I know we talked a little bit about this, you know, last year as far as the time invested, and I mean, what does it take to put on this, you know, because Chad, you have this big production like vision for what these rodeos and obviously you too, Nate, but you guys have this big production vision, you know, not 10 years down the road. I mean, but what was it like last year for what you guys put on?
Well, I think year one was we did it. Last year was we got to improve on it. And so what was it like? It was, here we are, like we're now not waist deep, we're neck deep, so let's make this happen. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And as we were changing, you know, into the clothes for the performance, we're moving a mile a minute, the phone's ringing off the hook, and you stop for a minute, you just go, this is awesome. This is why we do this, because the community is in the stands, they're clapping, they're stomping their feet, the contestants are lined up, ready to bring it. This whole thing is giving me chills, and this is why we do it. Mm-hmm. A lot of fun, but a lot of work.
Yeah, and along those lines, like you had said at the start, you know, we have this vision of what we want the Sheriff's Rodeo to look like. And as people that grew up around rodeo and as a contestant of rodeo and team ropings all over the country and so on, like you see what is a top-notch production value and what are great events, and you want to do, you know, everything you can to mimic those events for the contestants, for the spectators and everything. So we might be a small town community, but we want to bring a big town rodeo feel to the community here. So from everything from the sound, the lights, the announcers, the pre-rodeo fan zone area stuff we'll talk about in a little bit here, and the stock, the contestants, everything we want to do at a high level, so you feel like you're at a very, very top-notch, you know, rodeo essentially.
And I remember from last year, you guys talking about, you know, how this was your vision way back when, you know, just when you guys were out, you know, in the car and just, driving around, just talking about, you know, one day. Now, my question is, and I already kind of know the answer, but would you have this, would you be able to put this production on without the support of, say, you know, Sheriff Ian Parkinson and his support and obviously love for the Western way?
I don't think so. It would be much more difficult. We'd be able to put on a production, but it would not be as fluid as what it is now. Just because the support that the community backs us with, because we are law enforcement and because of the philosophy behind the rodeo and its purpose, and Sheriff Parkinson's support and all of our volunteers and all of our workers on the committee, it's very, very difficult to do that just in the private sector and put on your own rodeo. So it makes it a lot more attainable because we are with the Sheriff's Office and Sheriff's Parkinson support and the support of the Sheriff's Advisory Foundation.
And you guys really had a lot of, you know, sheriffs involved, you know, I mean, last year. And of course, the misconception of that it was sheriff only, you know, out there, right, you know, being participants, which isn't the case, right? It's probably maybe 20% of
I would,
not even that.
I don't think so. I think, one.
Right, yeah.
One.
You guys?
Me.
One.
Yeah, but that's That's it. I mean, other than that, you see, like, we have top cowboys and cowgirls really from around the country. So the winner of our steer wrestling last year was Stan Branco, and Stan Branco darn near won the world championship this year in professional rodeo. He had a phenomenal national finals rodeo in Las Vegas here last month, and was knocking on the door of a world championship. And that is the contestants that we get at our rodeo, you know. And Bear Pasco, another one, he's been in here, and you've got Dugan Kelly, who's a national finals rodeo healer, been to the NFR numerous times, multiple times circuit, you know, champions throughout all of our events. So the list goes on. And I think a lot of people that compete in the sport of rodeo around here realize how competitive this area is. But for those that don't, this is a very, very competitive area in the sport of rodeo. You have some of the best cowboys and cowgirls in the sport that live on the Central Coast. And, you know, a lot of contestants that come from Texas and other states, they will attest to that. So we're very, very lucky to have top-notch contestants around here locally, and a pool that we can draw from for our rodeo.
So Nate, I'll ask you, from last year when you look back on it, I mean, the night's over. And I remember talking to you guys when the night was over, and it was like, whew, but the night's over, and you just look back on it. What was the one thing that you took away, you think, from last year's rodeo that you're just like, man, I can't believe this happened?
I can't believe we filled the stands completely. We basically sold out the main grandstand at the Paso Robles Event Center. In our second year, that was the goal that we set, but it happened. And we had another successful event where people left with a smile. So while I can't believe it happened, I kind of can, because I know the work was put in, but it doesn't happen until you get there. And when we watched those stands fill up, and in fact they were full, and we're basically looking at a sellout, it's like we did it. And not only did we do it, but the community left happy. And that is the goal, is to bring the community together to celebrate this great thing that we have here, you know, in this county, our community, our lifestyle, and we were able to do that.
And along those lines, really quick, Randy, it's funny you mentioned that, because when Nate and I were brainstorming this, you know, years ago, and even just a couple years ago when we did the first one, you have these visions in your head of what you want the rodeo to be like, and you always have an envision of the stands being full, but you never know if anybody's going to show up, and you never know if anybody else is going to like it as much as you do in your head, you know. So you can put all this work into it, and you sit there and you lay awake the night before thinking, God, I hope people come to this, you know.
Right.
And then to see them like flow in and the place filled up, it's just like, okay, we did it, you know. And it's a great feeling.
It was at one point during last year's rodeo, I had to leave where I was behind the chutes and get out to pick up some folks in a off-road vehicle for part of one of our acts. So of course I've got my committee shirt on, and I'm trying to move quickly through the crowd, and 4, 5, 6 people, hey, excuse me, thank you, this is great. Which, it's like, don't thank me, like, thank you for being here. I want to thank the community for their support. Here they're thanking me because I'm identified as a committee member is all, and getting to interact just in that little bit to see, like I said, the smiling faces and the thanks. And I want to thank them for their support. I want to thank them for bringing their families, for supporting rodeo, for supporting the professional athletes that we're able to bring to compete for them. It's a win-win all the way around, and it feels great.
And looking back on, you know, the last 2 years, so the first year you had the major power outage, which remember we talked and you're like, hey, I had to make some calls to get that thing turned back on, or at least here. And then last year, something that you didn't expect, of course, we were in a storming, you know, time frame. But we had, what was it, 110 degrees at the rodeo last year?
It was like 1,050 degrees.
It was hot.
Yeah,
it was
hot.
insane.
Yeah, I think the last 2 years we've hit the 2 hot weekends in May. It seemed like, yeah.
But it still didn't deter anybody from, you know, coming out. I mean, you know, kids and you know, of course, everybody was like fixated on that overhang at the grandstand, you know, because we were over there on the other side at the grandstand stage, and you know, just looking up at that shade going, that sure looks nice over there.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, it's grown and grown, and we've got some really exciting plans for this year. And I know we'll probably talk about it at the end, but none of this would be possible without our sponsors. Obviously, you guys at What's Up North County, I could go down the list. We have 60, 75 sponsors, but you have our major sponsors between Premier Ag, Borehome GMC, the Hearst Ranch, Prefert. We have just phenomenal support all the way down the line. Cactus Saddlery, Resistol, they have been phenomenal to deal with. EECU is a new sponsor of ours this year, a credit union here locally, and they became a premier sponsor. And
Nice.
one thing that we'll talk about that we're going to do this year, something new, is we're giving scholarships out that are going to go out here right away, the high school seniors throughout the county. So the EECU credit union is the title sponsor of that as well. So anyways, the support that we have throughout the community, Barrel House, another one, just phenomenal. And we couldn't do any of this without the support of our sponsors.
And you mentioned, without hesitation, everybody was like, yeah, we're on board again, for this coming year. So we may as well just segue right into what's happening this year. So do we have a date yet already dialed in for
May
it?
11th, Saturday, May 11th.
Okay.
At the event center. Yep.
And so what's some of the changes? I mean, maybe not changes, maybe just additions. Because like I said, could you have changed something from last year?
Yes. So what we're going to do this year is we're trying because we're starting to outgrow, or not necessarily outgrow ourselves, but the event's gotten really big in just 2 years for just a one-day event. So as you know, one night we have our sponsor dinner, which we thank all of our sponsors for everything that they do and all their support. What we're going to do differently this year is we'll have our sponsor dinner on Thursday night. On Friday during the day at the fairgrounds, that day will be dedicated to event qualifiers. So we will have qualifiers throughout the day and evening, so we can take all of the top 10 in each of our events and qualify them to the rodeo the next day, which will be Saturday evening. And then that Saturday is fully dedicated to the rodeo. And I'll let Nate talk on it some, but the one new this year is we're going to have a fan zone that's going to open a few hours prior to the rodeo. So we encourage as many people to come onto grounds prior to the rodeo and enjoy a lot of the amenities that we're going to have to offer them.
Kind of like what you get like when you go to a professional, like the NFL games, they have that fan zone, or NFR in Vegas.
Or the
they
NFR,
have
yep.
Interesting.
And again, when we sat down, when we planned this, kind of the benchmark we think of is how'd they do at the NFR? And then let's try and emulate that as best we can. So our fan zone this year will open up several hours before the performance, 3 to 4 hours before the performance starts. People are welcome to come. The midway area at the event center, as well as the park area inside the main entrance, will be set up with a variety of vendors, greatly expanded food and beverage vendors, so folks can get more food and drink and avoid some of those lines. Come earlier if you want to snack and have dinner throughout the afternoon. We'll have live music there in the front park area. Activities for all ages, whether you're a grown-up and want to look at some of our vendors that'll be there displaying their wares, whether you bring the kids and want stuff for the kids to do. For example, we'll have a mechanical bull. We're going to have roping dummies.
fun.
We'll have people there to sign autographs, contestants. If you want to go autograph hunting. New this year, we will have mutton busting taking place in
Awesome.
the covered arena prior to the performance, and then we'll bring back a couple qualifiers to compete in the performance. So the idea is you can come early to avoid some of that traffic, to avoid some of the hassles outside. There'll be plenty of stuff to do inside the fairgrounds prior to the performance, and then we'll kick that off and still have our full performance and the concert afterwards.
That's amazing. Really, you think in 2 short years, did you guys expect, really, if you were to look back 3 years ago when you were kind of envisioning the very first one, did you expect this happen this quick?
No. No, it's like we said at the beginning of the show, it's exponentially grown, and I think a lot of that is because of the support of the sheriff, and just law enforcement as a whole within the county and so on. And really, it's our model too, Randy. We've talked over and over again, Nate, myself, and the sheriff, and we want this to be a good event for the community. We're not going to raise ticket prices. Like the
$10?
It's $10 for
Wow.
adults. Kids are free. Law enforcement employees are free. It is about putting on a good event for them where they could come and it's not going to break the bank. It's not going to break their pocketbook, and they can come enjoy rodeo, the Western way of life, and interact with law enforcement in a positive light, and that's really what it comes down to. So I think just because of that model that we've dealt with, combined with the fact that we want such a high production value, the event has just taken off, and it's really, really neat to see.
So last year you guys had a little confliction with the college rodeo events, which was in Vegas. So do you have to, like, when you plan out your date, do you kind of put everything on the map as far as like major events? Because that pulled some kids and some participants to Vegas, right? From last year. Do you kind of put that together? And
Unfortunately, we're kind of bound by what dates are available at the fairgrounds, but yes, that is what we do. We evaluate, like, what are the major rodeos that are going on, throughout the Western United States, and how is it going to impact our turnouts, both contestant and spectator wise, and then you try and find a date that would work for everybody. And there's never a perfect date. You can schedule an event and you're the only thing on that date, and then 30 days prior there's 3 other events going on, but we try to do that as best as we could.
And obviously last year you guys brought the bulls, right? You had the bucking bulls, which was awesome. And from what I heard and understand, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the purse for the bull riders was probably higher than most of the rodeos that they would go to. Is that correct?
Yeah, and going back to Premier Ag, one of our sponsors, they were phenomenal. We had added money that the purse that they compete for is combined with entry fees from the contestants and added money from us and sponsorships. And so last year you had the bull riders that paid an entry fee. You had the Sheriff's Rodeo that added X amount of dollars to the event. And then Premier Ag, the bull riding sponsor, they added an additional pot of money on top of it. So the bull riders were very, very happy to compete for the amount that they did.
And that was a really good, the bulls, I can't remember, I don't think anybody rode one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Was there one?
Yeah, I believe there was.
He's the one that did the backflip off the top,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he was very happy because in a situation like that, they take all the ground money, so he got it all, and so he was living high on the hog that night.
Wow.
But
Good night to make a qualified ride.
Right?
Yeah.
But it was good. That was our first year having the bulls, and they were obviously a hit, and they bucked very well. But there was things that we learned from the bull riding that we're going to change for this year, just logistical things, and how things are set up with the pins and the alleys and all of that, and exit gates and everything. So we learn, and every year it's a learning experience for everybody.
I think that's one of the benefits of the full-time job that we do. Chad and I off and on have worked together, for example, on our SWAT team for years in various capacities. Well, in the SWAT world, you have a bare knuckles debrief after every operation. That's how we debrief the rodeo. We got together with Premier Ag last year to talk just about the bull riding. We got together multiple times in what we can consider our off season after last year's rodeo, before this one, and it is detail oriented. How can we do this better? But that's because we want to deliver that high caliber performance for the fans and for the contestants. And so we've made changes from what we learned last year, and I'm looking forward to seeing it take place this year, because we have redesigned some of the lead ups for the chutes, definitely redesigned how the pedestrians will get, how our guests will get to those stands on either side of the main grandstand stage to eliminate access issues from last year. And because that's what we're committed to doing, is bringing the crowd a good time so that everybody can just have fun and come together.
Well, when you talk about commitment, you just shared with some news before we went on about the shoots, right? Do you want to share that? That's some good, great news.
Absolutely.
Big
We
news.
just negotiated, myself, Nate, and the sheriff, where we purchased 4 bucking chutes from Preford, black bucking chutes that are going to be the Sheriff's Rodeos now forever. And we currently have a deputy or a member of the committee that's en route to Las Vegas to pick them up, because they were staged out front of the Thomas and Mack during the NFR. So they're really nice, pretty black Preford bucking chutes, and we'll be able to add that to our infrastructure now. And like I say, Preford's just been so supportive of our event, and we couldn't ask for a better sponsor. And honestly, they have the best rodeo and ranch equipment than anybody could ask for. So yeah, we're really excited to get those on board. And last year, Glenn, the owner of Premier Ag, was so phenomenal. Him and his family, they tore down their personal arena and bucking chutes and hauled them into the fairgrounds so we could have bucking chutes there. And obviously this year he won't have to do that.
Right.
Thank goodness. But that just shows like how our supporters and our sponsors will go above and beyond to help out this event.
Tell them about the phone call. So we'd been trying to line up bucking chutes, working on it. And Chad and I both went to the NFR, spent some time in Las Vegas. At one point we were talking, he goes, "Hey, I got to tell you about this phone call I just got. Remember outside the NFR, the bucking chutes that were on display?" I said, "Yeah, in the Preford booth." He goes, "Yeah, we're going to buy them."
You're like,
Yeah.
what?
Or we can buy them.
Wow.
And I said, "I think we should." And he goes, "Well, I agree. We got to make some more phone calls." But I said, "Really, those?"
And like
there
Nate
we
said,
are.
the great thing about the rodeo community, and really even the country community, it's a very tight-knit, small community for the most part, and a good friend of mine that we go on a trail ride together works for Las Vegas events. Another one works for the South Point, and then we know Eddie Preford fairly well. So it's just, you get to know each other on a personal level, and it's like, oh yeah, we want to support your event, and it's a good cause, and we have these shoots for to offer you, and it just works out for everybody, so it's a great thing, and we're looking forward to this year for sure.
And now you get to, well, I should say now you don't get to go to Vegas as a, having a good time. I mean, you're on business, you may be participating, but you're there also kind of scoping out some ideas and for what you guys are building.
Yeah. Managed to have a good time too,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I think the way our minds work is, we're very similar. It's just our minds are never turn off, and it's constantly going, and you're always thinking and planning. And even in our regular jobs and running investigative units and SWAT teams and all of that, you're always planning for the next minute, the next hour, the next day, and always coming up with contingencies. What are your contingencies? Because one thing you can count on is it's never going to go the way you anticipate it to go, no matter what the situation is. So if it doesn't go this particular way, how are we going to handle it? And it's no different in the rodeo planning too. So that's why I think the first couple of years have been fairly successful for us, is because we'll try and identify all of those contingencies that could come up and how would we deal with them, and because that's what we do in our everyday job. So that is a benefit to us as well.
And last year, looking back, which I thought was pretty cool. Not only do you have obviously San Luis Obispo County sheriffs, you also, whether or not you reached out to them or they just showed up, which I think they just showed up on their willingness, was you had some sheriffs from Kern County, you had sheriffs from down in LA County, you had all these sheriffs, which we met in the night before, which was really awesome, and they were just loving everything that you guys were doing up here. Did you guys reach out to them to invite them, or did they just come on their own?
So a lot of those guys are personal friends with Sheriff Parkinson.
Okay.
And they are all members of what's called CSSA, the California State Sheriffs Association. And they go to various meetings, monthly, quarterly, and so on throughout the year to discuss, law enforcement topics throughout the state that affect all of our counties. So one of them was Jeff Dean, who's a retired sheriff he was the sheriff of Ventura County. Then, like you said, you had Donnie Youngblood from sheriff of Kern County. There was various other sheriffs from around the state that were there because their friend was with Sheriff Parkinson, but they also support what we do, and it's really, really neat. It's neat to see.
And just Johnny Youngblood. That is a
Donnie.
great
Donnie.
Johnny
Yeah.
Youngblood. That's a great sheriff name, right?
Yeah.
You can't.
He's a great guy,
We
too.
met him, and he was awesome. He was just. They're all awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody there, like I said, looking back, anybody that's really looking for an event that's friendly. Obviously, I mean, it's very safe. Obviously, probably the most safest place that you could be anywhere. But it's just, I mean, everybody was just genuinely nice. It was just very helpful. Of course, I saw you guys were, running around like crazy, back and forth, and you're black. Probably might want to look at getting white, this year. But it was just a great event, and I look at and try to think what else could you guys do to make it better other than expanding it, right?
I think we got some tricks up our sleeve. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
But we want to enhance the fan experience by spreading it out, into that the pre-party zone, the pre-game fan zone outside. We're going to pay close attention to making sure that everybody can get water if they need water, making sure they have extra food and beverage, that our pedestrian flow works. And then, we'll go from there. Not running qualifiers the morning of means that if you really want to get your fix of rodeo, come on Friday. It's open to the public. You can watch the qualifiers. There's no admission charge. Just come onto the fairgrounds and check it out in the covered arena. So that's a way that, the diehard rodeo fans can get 2 days of rodeo now. And, still, it's only one ticket on Saturday and only $10 at that.
And that'll help you guys as well, not having those qualifiers the morning of the event, right? Because I'm sure that was just as big as the event going on at the main arena with the amount of participation and, the people in the stands. And, I'm sure that's just an undertaking on its own, and then go into kind of a regroup mode to prepare for the main event.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, and going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, I just want everybody that's listeners of the show or just in the public in general, is all of the profits from this or the proceeds go to the Sheriff's Advisory Foundation. And the Sheriff's Advisory Foundation is a nonprofit association for us at the Sheriff's Office and all law enforcement agencies in San Luis Obispo County. And the sheriff will utilize those funds to purchase equipment for all law enforcement agencies that might not be able to afford them due to their current budgets. Obviously, we're all under budget constraints, especially in this day and age and this time and so on. So, being all funded by, our taxpayers and taxpayer dollars, there's certain things that get approved and certain things that don't, but it doesn't mean that some of the things that don't get approved aren't necessities. So we evaluate each request, and the sheriff will look at it, and he could sign off and purchase things for other departments and ourselves that maybe weren't funded before.
kind of thinking like a boosters, right? Like for a high school,
exactly.
Yeah,
essentially.
it's a perfect way to put it.
So, you guys are out doing your own fundraising, putting in your own work, to help, because just like you said, there's some things that you guys may or may not need that, just the dollars aren't there to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, make no mistake about it, our rodeo sponsors make it possible, especially make it possible to keep that $10 ticket price so that the community can come and it can be a fun night that doesn't break the bank. But without the level of sponsorship that we receive, there's no way we could produce this event, especially this caliber of event. So it is 100% a giant thank you to the support of our sponsors, because they are the reason, that we can do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's also talk about, from the bulls to the, to the cowboys and the cowgirls, the athletes. You had top-notch bulls, you had top-notch announcer. Let's talk about that for a little bit. That guy was really, really good. He was nonstop for, what was it, 3 hours? Was that a 3-hour event almost?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just about. Yeah.
So you guys bring in some top-notch stuff.
Yeah, Drew Stewart is the announcer you're talking about, and he's phenomenal. He lives in Oklahoma, and had the pleasure to meet him probably 7 or 8 years ago when I started going on a trail ride, part of an organization that I'm part of, and have been around him a lot. One of the greatest guys you could be around, one of the funniest guys you could be around as well. But oh my goodness, he is talented with a mic in his hand, and when we started the rodeo, that was the first name that came to mind. And luckily, he's out this way during that time, so he's signed on to do it, and he's been phenomenal. And you guys all know, without a good announcer, it's just not the same. And a good announcer and a good man behind the mic can really make an event, man or woman behind the mic. And he's done a great job, so we've been fortunate to have him.
And does he have some relations with the cowboys that are there? Because it seemed like he was talking.
It's a small world.
Just like he knew them. You know, and it was pretty entertaining.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean when we said to each other we're going to need an announcer, meaning it's like a quarterback, right? You got to have the right guy for the job, and Drew is that guy. Tavion Harleston, our sound man that works in conjunction with Drew, has a library of audio files, all that music, all the pump up music for during the events and everything. Those guys enjoy working together, and so that's how the magic happens, where you get the crowd into it and it pumps up the contestants and everybody raises their game.
And now, is there any events that you are, I mean, or I assume sure that you are, but that you're not maxed out with participants, or are you maxed out on everything, all the events that you have?
Yeah, we're pretty much maxed out. So we run qualifiers for nearly all of our events, except for a couple are invitational, like the bull riding and so on. But everything's maxed out. I mean, in the team roping, we'd have hundreds of teams that would compete for 10 spots. And same with the breakaway roping. They had darn near 100 girls that qualified last year, or that participated in the qualifier for 10 spots. Darn near 100 girls in the barrel racing. And so it's just, I mean, it's very well attended, and it's hard to qualify for the finals. So that's why the men and women that you do see in the finals, they're very, very good at what they do.
Well, I think that's a good thing to point out too, that as long as we gather, as long as we draw that caliber of contestant, we're committed to putting on those qualifiers so that they can make that run for our prize line and for our added money, and we want to take care of those contestants. Just as we're committed to the fans and to our community that enjoys the show, we're committed to producing a top-notch event for that high caliber athlete, to come and compete.
Yeah, and the way a lot of events are set up, whether it's jackpot, team ropings, barrel racing, breakaways, whatever the case may be, the producer will usually hold out a percentage of the entry fees for themselves to clear expenses and so on. We don't do that. All of the money from our qualifiers goes back as added money for the contestants. So that's what the help of sponsorships and all that help with our expensive, but we try to give everything we can back to the contestants to make this as good of a deal as possible for them.
And when you look back at your feedback from your participants, what was that like last year?
Oh, I think it's been spot on. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's little things you can improve on from here and there, but all of our contestants have really, really enjoyed the rodeo production, for one, the payouts, to the prize line. We give a lot of prizes to the winners, and it's phenomenal. It's neat to see as we travel around the county or around the state or wherever, the championship buckle being worn. There was a local girl named Shaylee Baxley, and she got all the way to the semifinals of the American qualifier in Arlington, Texas last year. And there's photos of her, and she's wearing the Sheriff's Rodeo champion buckle, and stuff like that. So it's, people are proud to be a champion of that rodeo, I feel. So, and, honored to wear the buckle. And I think a lot of that comes from, when you win an event, it's who are you winning it against? If you're winning against, people that nobody's ever heard of, or it's in somebody's backyard and there's only 5 people there, you might not be as I guess surprised to wear that buckle. But if you're competing against some of the best in the state or in the country and you win that event, you have some pride in that and putting that buckle on. So it's pretty neat.
Now, you talked about mutton busting. Is there any other new events for 2024?
No new events. We'll stick to the same events, the same order, basically. Obviously do the mutton busting before so all the kids can enter that want to, and then we'll bring a few back for the performance. The SED, the SWAT team ribbon roping, will return so that we can throw.
But Sheriff Parkinson was a little concerned because he's got your whole SWAT team out there.
Nothing like feeding the SWAT team guys that have no idea how to handle cattle to the roping calves that are all too happy to take advantage of them. That's good watching.
Right.
Yeah, anytime when you take the alphas of alpha and put them on something, even if they've never done it, they have no idea what to do, they're game, full send.
Full send.
So it's always fun to watch. We'll do the hide races again. That was fun. So just little things like that as specialty acts. But as far as the main events, we're going to keep all of those the same. We're going to have another top-notch concert afterwards, which we'll be announcing the artist here in the coming weeks.
Like a little bit right here.
Little teasers.
Little
We're
teasers,
finalizing the contract with
Okay.
them. So until we get that inked, we can't disclose. But what we can say is it's going to be another great concert, and we're going to have another very, very good artist play after the rodeo. So everybody needs to make plans to attend, just like we did last year. Right after the rodeo, we will work the arena very, very quickly, just so there's no tripping hazards and so on. And then everybody from the stands can come down on the arena floor and just be front and center there for the concert. So plan on that again, and then like we had said, come early, because we're going to have a really neat fan zone for people to experience as well.
So right now, are you? How does somebody sign up, or what's the process for that, for somebody that wants to be a participant, either it be mutton busting or roping or barrel racing? What's the process for that?
So we're going to announce the various signups and whatnot will be announced via our social media, SLO Sheriffs Rodeo, our website, Facebook, Instagram. So follow us on social media, share it. The biggest thing that we've announced right now is Flag Girl tryouts. That information is available, on our social media, because the flag girls that participate in the grand entry and that carry the sponsor flags throughout, we've got their tryouts coming up first part of next month. We'll be announcing our first ever SLO Sheriffs Rodeo scholarship here momentarily, and then the other announcements will come thereafter, as well as when we open up ticket sales here in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, Randy, so what we'll do is we'll release the ads for the qualifiers here in the coming week. So the qualifiers will be produced the day before, like we had said, May 10th, and then a couple of them will be produced earlier in that week.
Yeah.
So all of the rodeo contestants are familiar with seeing the ads, what's the date and the times and the formats. So we'll be releasing that here right away. And then as far as them entering the qualifiers, they come the day of that respective qualifier and enter on site to get in. And then ultimately we take the top 10 in each event and they come back.
And there's still opportunity for sponsors to come in and be a part of it as well,
Definitely.
correct?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So if you go to our website at www.slosheriffsrodeo.com, our sponsorship brochure is on there. You can see all the different packages. A lot of the packages have sold. Say, for example, you can be the sponsor of a particular event. So you're the sponsor of the team roping. And there's various events and packages that have sold already, but we still have room for a lot of additional sponsors and so on. So that's how people... if they go on there, they see the brochure, they see something they're interested in, there's contact information on there where they could reach out to us via the internet and social media, and then we'll start the dialogue with them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And when does the butterflies start kicking in? Right now? Are they in full flight right now, or?
Almost.
Yeah.
We got done with Christmas time and we said, we got to get on this. And now look it's almost February.
Yeah.
So it's starting to get fast and furious, but we got it handled. The butterflies will come, but it's more excitement.
Yeah. It's more adrenaline.
Yeah, it's adrenaline for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And now you both participate. I know you do. Did you participate last
I
year?
don't rope good enough to rope in his branding pen. I'm not going to give him my money on top of that.
I participate every year, and as much as I can. Obviously, I got my day job and so on. That it takes takes away a lot of time. But I usually compete each year. I've been fortunate the last 2 years to qualify for the finals, and was able to win one of the events the first year. So that was neat in the inaugural year. So I'll give it a shot again this year, and we'll see what happens. But
So there's no inside push because you're part of the Sheriff Rodeo to where you automatically get to be in the finals?
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He's just handy. It just works out that way.
So we'll see. It'll be a fun event. We're excited, but I don't think the butterflies ever really go away. But as you start creeping up and getting closer to the date, the adrenaline starts pumping a lot more. And just funny story really quick is, when you talk about butterflies. So before I went into law enforcement, I had myself and Dugan Kelly, we had a team roping association. We produced team roping events all over the state of California, part of, the South, Arizona, New Mexico, a few in Texas and so on. And I think the biggest thing that makes this not have as much butterflies is because of the support that we have through our sponsorships. I remember producing an event event in New Mexico one time, and not knowing if anybody was going to show up because we were new to the area. Nobody had heard of our team roping association, and nobody came. Like literally nobody came. Like a few trailers did, and it was probably the worst feeling anybody could ever experience. So you have like the high of the highs of the ones that are successful and they know you and they believe in your model and so on, and then you could venture outside of the area and try and do the same thing, and it could completely flop on its face, you know. And so having those feelings, you know, compared to this, it's totally different because this is a different model. We have a lot of support, and we know people are going to show up and support it, as opposed to that feeling. So I've been on different ends of the spectrum in this business and all that, and I think that's honestly what helps, you know, make it better and better, is because when you have those experiences, you know what not to do. You know?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's more like panic attacks versus butterflies. But I can see where that could definitely come into play. But you guys do pretty well, you know, promoting it, you know, pre-ticket sales, you know, because you kind of get on a baseline of where you're at, you know, on the day of the event. Of course, you're going to have some walk-ins. But, you know, like you said, last year you guys sold out, right?
Well, that's a word to the wise for this year. Like, get your tickets when ticket sales open up, because if last year is any indicator, and I think it is, we will sell out. And I'd hate to see people that want to come to the rodeo that think they're going to buy it day of not be able to. But that's basically where we're at. So we'll be opening up ticket sales here beginning of February, and get your tickets. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and along those lines, like Nate was saying, yeah, we'd love to accept everybody that comes, but there's a capacity there in that outdoor arena, and you know, there's fire marshal standards and safety of the public. So once those 7,000 tickets are sold, that's it. And you know, if you're 7,001 and you're standing outside, unfortunately, you're not going to get in. So as early as people can get the tickets, go on and do it. We're going to be releasing the ticket sales here right away at the beginning of February. It'll be through Eventbrite again, so they could go to our website at SLOsheriffsRodeo.com or our social media platforms, and it'll take them right to the Eventbrite platform where they could purchase tickets. So like we had said earlier, whether it's a $10 adult ticket or it's a free ticket of some capacity, whether it's a child or it's a law enforcement employee, they still have to have a ticket, because we have to account for every body that comes through that gate for safety standards.
Well, if they don't make it in, they can always watch it on What's Up North County, because
That's
we're going to be
true.
broadcasting again.
That's true.
So
that was a hit, you know, and you guys did that last year, and it was phenomenal, and we thank you for it. And Nate, maybe you want to tell a story about your daughter?
I was going to say, so my daughter grew up rodeoing, and then she rodeoed all through life until high school, graduated, and she's in the Army now, active duty. She was deployed last year to somewhere in the Middle East, in the CENTCOM operational area, is all she'll allow me to say. And she watched our rodeo live from where she was at in the sandbox,
Awesome.
along with other soldiers that she was downrange with.
Oh, very cool.
So you have global outreach here, you know, and it was
awesome.
great to be able to do that. I know she was excited, even if it was like a 12-hour time difference.
Well, like I said, I mean, we appreciate, you know, being a part of this journey with you guys, because I mean, literally, this is a journey that everybody's on, and it requires, you know, all hands on deck too. So we appreciate being a part of it, and you know, allowing us to, you know, do what we do with you guys, and looking forward to, you know, bringing in some sponsors, bringing in some contestants, bringing in, you know, this platform could be, you know, is used for you guys for, you know, the next 5 months and ramping it
We
up.
appreciate it.
Well, we couldn't do this without your guys' support. You guys have been outstanding, helping us get the message out there and just supporting the rodeo. So thank you for you guys and your whole crew for everything you've done.
We appreciate it. So anything else you guys want to add? Or did we wrap up everything?
I think that about well covers it. I just want people to keep May 11th saved. Keep that date saved. Get your tickets as early as possible. People are really, really going to enjoy the rodeo if you haven't been. It's just a great family event. And anyways, we're just going to try and improve it each year.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll have more information weekly at this point from now until when the rodeo starts.
Awesome. Well, when you guys bring out that announcement with the music act, let's do it right here.
Okay.
Bring it out right here.
You got
Sounds
it.
good,
Nate,
Randy.
thank you, sir.
It's a
Chad,
pleasure.
Randy.
really
Always a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Yep, we appreciate you guys and your service, and not only for what you guys are doing here for the rodeo, obviously outside this, because you guys, you know, you guys have the battle every single day, so we appreciate your guys' service out there.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. It's our pleasure.
So, well, there you have it, guys. Hey, make sure you guys do not miss the 2024 Sheriffs Rodeo at the Paso Robles Event Center, because it's going to be another awesome one, May 11th. Make sure you get your tickets. Last year was pretty dang close to selling out. This year, pretty sure it's going to sell out. So make sure you guys get your tickets out there and get them early. But as always, guys, we can't do this without you and our sponsors. We'd like to thank Escalar Wines, Wine Travelers Hideaway, Rancho Sestero Meat Cutting, Visit Atascadero, 805 Customs, El Red Rooster, Pacific 805 Spas, Hanson Enterprises, 5-Star Rain Gutters, Airflow Filter Services, Story Termite and Pest Control, Borho and Auto Center, and Kennedy Club Fitness, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you at the rodeo.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hi, welcome to Kennedy Club Fitness, where we have something for everyone. We have weights, cardio, group exercise classes, racquetball, basketball, swimming, and pickleball coming soon. Here at Kennedy, we're committed to health, wellness, and community. Stop by any of our 4 locations: Paso Robles, Atascadero, San Luis Obispo, and Arroyo Grande, or check out our website at kennedyclubs.com.
We don't just serve it up, we roast it, distill it, brew it, craft it, crank it, bake it, make it, perfect it, cure it, paint it, live it, breathe it, and then we serve it up, all in Atascadero.
Hi, this is Dave Story, small game hunter with Story Termite and Pest. We're a full-service termite and pest control company. From rodents to termites, we can take care of all your pest control needs. Call today, we can tailor a pest control program that will meet your needs and budget. Contact us at 805-460-0650 or at storytermite.com. Remember, we don't have customers, we have friends.